Welcome to NightMerica, a podcast that takes you on a tour of the abnormal, paranormal, weirdly true, and truly weird in every corner across this nation. Because, to paraphrase Ray Parker Jr., whether it's ghosts, aliens, monsters, or monstrous humans, there's something strange in your neighborhoods. I feel like I said Roy Parker Jr., but I meant
kind
to say
of did.
Ray Parker Jr. from the Ghostbusters theme song, of course. Who am I? I'm Aaron Sagers. I'm one half of this hosting team, and you might know me from a bunch of shows talking about ghosts, weird things, paranormal caught on camera on Travel Channel. Currently, one of the panelists on there, Paranormal Paparazzi, Portals to Hell, Paranormal Lockdown, Evidence Revealed, and of course, ParanormalPopCulture.com, journalist, nerd. That's me. Who are you?
I'm Britt. I am the other half of this podcasting duo. You know me from shopping malls near you, having been a retail manager and a true crime fangirl. Yeah. I never know what to do after I introduce myself.
I don't know. I just want to call out, because I know it's going to annoy Britt. There's the sound of ice in my glass right now. And I'm going to be, because I made a delightful cocktail, a tiki cocktail. Those of you that know me know that I'm a big fan of tiki drinks. I made a Suffering Bastard, an old school tiki recipe. I made you one too. I also made
delicious.
You a Singapore Sling earlier today. Which do you like more, the Singapore Sling or the Suffering Bastard?
I think I like the Suffering Bastard. And I'm a Suffering Bastard listening to the ice shuffle near the microphone.
Yeah. I don't know why I said yeah.
I don't know. That was like so creepy.
No, that'd be like...
But I would like to apologize to anyone who, like me, has that phobia of the sound of people chewing, because I know how annoying that is on podcasts, and I've made him aware that this is a phobia that's quite common. But alas, I'm sorry.
Is it a phobia or like a pet peeve?
No, it's like there's a name for it.
Like you're afraid of it.
Yes.
Well, it's a good podcast for it because we're talking about scary things.
Misophonia.
Right.
Why noisy eating can be so anger-inducing.
So it's inducing anger?
It actually does. Like, if people chew chips in my ear, I get really angry. I have to warn my employees, like, you cannot chew near me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, hey, guys.
So this is more than just a podcast about weird things, paranormal, true crime. It's also like a therapy session for Britt, who has issues with chewing. And
is in between therapists right now.
Yeah, right. So things could get really interesting in here. So why are we doing this? What's the deal? I will say that in our various conversations at drinking establishments and over dinners and all that, we both have an interest in all things weird. I definitely gravitate more towards the paranormal, the supernatural, the weird, the odd, the obscure, and also the very nerdy on the pop culture spectrum. And you
love true crime.
Right. That's definitely more of your jam.
Yeah.
I enjoy it too. It's just like you definitely that's your thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, there's a lot of people, a lot of paranormal podcasts out there, a lot of true crime podcasts out there. And a lot of the paranormal ones, I guess a lot of TV shows anyhow, tend to be dominated by men of a certain age and definitely predominantly white. And it's a bit boring when everybody just looks the same and sounds the same and has the same life experience. So
we're going to shake things up.
We're going to shake things up.
And here I am.
Here you are to shake things up. Someone that's younger, that's coming in with a whole different perspective.
Yeah, but I'm with an old white man so that it's not so shocking to people's systems.
I think it's debatable whether I am white. I'm more of a probably man-child.
True.
And older
You're not
than
old.
you. But I'm youthful in spirit.
You are very youthful in spirit, says
Yeah.
the man with 2 lightsabers on his dresser.
Yeah. Well, they're only on the dresser because I haven't mounted them yet, but I do have 2 custom lightsabers from Sabi's workshop at Galaxy's Edge.
I don't know what any of
Disney.
this is.
It's like the Star Wars land.
I've never seen a Star Wars.
I know you don't, and it just makes me. Your phobia is ice chewing. Mine is like. Actually, I don't mind the fact that you haven't seen Star Wars. Except I kind of do. Like.
Maybe that'll be bonus content for the Patreon.
If it was Star Wars alone that you hadn't seen, but you haven't seen Ghostbusters, Goonies, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Never.
Jaws?
Yes, I saw Jaws like 3 years ago.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's good. So, Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Nope.
No. All right. So, Star Wars
My brother-in-law
alone,
is so upset right now, too.
I think the world is upset right now. Not seeing... one of those things is acceptable.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. Well, we can move on. We could talk about other things too.
Well, that's going to be the bonus content for the Patreon.
Having you watch?
Yeah, watching me watch those shows.
Okay, sure. I'm down with that. I'm always up for a reason to rewatch those things. So, have you ever been on a cruise ship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Frequently. So the most known one, which you probably know this about me, when my family moved from Europe to America in, what year was that? 2004, 2003. We came across on a boat in 2003.
Yeah. How long did that journey take
like
you?
Like maybe a full week, I think.
Yeah.
We landed in Canada. It was actually really fun. It was the QE2, the Queen Elizabeth II.
Right.
But we've been on many boats. I've been very lucky to have done that. I realized like how dickish it sounded when I just said we've been on many boats. But I've done an Alaskan cruise, 2 Caribbean cruises, and a Mediterranean cruise. How about you? You grew up in Florida, so you're always around boats.
Well, yeah. I've been on a lot of boats in the ocean, lakes, all that good stuff. But when I was early on in my journalist career, I was doing a lot of travel writing, and there was a stretch of time where I was on sort of the newest world's largest boat kind of thing every season. So whatever company would come out with, like, you know, we have the brand new ship that we're unveiling, cruise ship,
Carnival, Caribbean,
and so I would be lucky enough to go on a lot of these press cruises, and it was fun because it was like these short cruises, and thankfully, you know, I didn't have to pay for anything. It was a press trip.
Do you have a favorite cruise line that you've been on?
Yeah, but I'm not saying their name until they start advertising on this thing.
Can you whisper it to me?
Well, then we have a microphone. People would still hear it, I think. But
can you tell me?
I will say,
then I can edit it out.
Listen, I don't want to be long-winded, but I want to tell this story. There was this time that I was on a cruise line with my ex, and there was a performer playing. I won't say his name. And he was for the unveiling of the ship, right? And
so it's a performer we would know. It's 90s, not like
sort of 90s pop singer, right?
Sugar Ray.
No, it was not Sugar Ray. And so my ex and I were like, "Hey, let's get out of here. Let's ditch this." Like, nothing wrong with the person, just didn't want to stick around for the live concert. And on the way out of the big like concert hall where this person was performing, we ran into the performer's agent. He's like, "Oh, you're a member of the media, right? You're here on the press cruise." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, where you guys going?" I'm like, "Oh, you know, really wish we could stick around for the performance. Just like, yeah, I don't know.
We have a massage appointment.
I don't know what excuse it was. This was at night, so this was like all that was. It was like bars, clubs, and then this performance at this point.
We're going to the all-you-can-eat dessert buffet.
Right? Yeah, like there's a hell of a soft serve machine.
Oh, cruise ships have the best soft serve machines.
They do.
I don't even like ice cream, and I like a cruise ship soft serve machine.
Yeah. Did not know that about you.
You know I don't like ice cream.
I didn't know that you had a fondness for soft serve machines.
Yeah, I do.
Like, anyhow, so he's like, "Oh, hey, no problem. You know, if you guys are going back to your room, you want the guy, the performer, whose name I'm not gonna say, not Sugar Ray, to come by your
Where's this agent
your
from?
stateroom later. I don't know. He's,
What's this accent?
based on this accent, he's from a lot of different locations. It seems to be shifting. And we're like, no, it's cool. Like, no, I'd happy to see this guy, have him, say hi to you guys.
Oh my gosh.
And we're like, well, we're very tired. Maybe we'll be in bed. Anyhow, so cut to the end of the night.
So you had a threesome with Sugar Ray.
Yes, I've told you this story. No, not that, Sugar Ray. And go back to our stateroom at the end of the night. And apparently, I don't know, somehow this guy gained access to our room. Because there was an autographed CD, personalized.
Oh, I thought he was going to be, sitting on your bed.
Oh, naked? With just one of those towel sculptures over his junk.
Oh, I love a good towel sculpture.
I do prefer that ending of the story, which would have been extra creepy. Just a weird thing that there is a CD waiting for us in the room, signed by him. But anyhow, I'm sure it was just the maid. But we're 11 minutes into this. We haven't talked about weird stuff. But
hi, this is the NightMerica podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Britt, that's Aaron, and today we're talking about boats.
Yes, that was a long segue. We're talking about boats. And weird things that have happened on boats. And, as far as the paranormal element of it, water, a lot of times, is associated with sort of energy, conducting energy, and, of course, transportation across the sea is nothing new. Goes back, millennia. A lot of stories, mermaids, odd creatures, things like that. And then there's a whole lot of ghost ship stories out there. A whole lot of them.
Like the movie
so many
Ghost
good
Ship.
ones. Like the movie Ghost Ship. So many good ones that I wish we could talk about all of them today. But no. So last episode we did a true crime story and a ghost story, so I decided to go in a different direction this time. I'm gonna start, and I have a sea monster story for you.
Great.
Yeah. And what's cool is this is actually it's not new, but it's not ancient either. This goes back to 1918 and World War I. German submarines were prowling the waters of the Atlantic. They were devastating weapons, these vessels. Very scary, very effective, very good about, attacking, going unnoticed, and going on the attack and destroying the forces, the British forces, I guess, that were on the waters. So these U-boats were highly feared. But then there was UB-85, April 30th, 1918, this German submarine. A British vessel comes across this submarine that's just floating above water. It's not underwater. And what happens is the crew, they come upon it, they fire upon it. Submarine begins to sink, apparently. Not any attempt to retaliate. The crew surrenders right away without fighting, without trying to retaliate. The crew of the British ship is obviously somewhat confused. Why? Why do these guys not even try to fight us? These U-boats are quite powerful. U-boat could have launched a torpedo at the British vessel. Didn't do it. Instead, Germans come on board, and the captain of the U-boat was questioned, and this is sort of where the story gets weird. Captain Gunther Kreck.
Amazing.
I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce it, but we're going with that.
I think it sounds right.
He reported that the submarine had surfaced during the night to recharge batteries, I guess, and they were hit by this violent force, and some of the crew members went out to investigate and saw a strange beast that had erupted from the cold, dark water and started clambering up the side of the ship, started jostling the submarine back and forth.
How big was it?
Supposedly enormous. Wow. But with a small head and large eyes. And according to mysteriousuniverse.org, which is a great website, the beast was described, quote, as being enormous, with a small head, with large eyes deeply set, and a horned skull, and a large mouth with sharp teeth that glinted in the moonlight.
Wow.
I like that kind of description.
I do too. I picture it.
So this thing's, attacking the ship, and the crew that's above the ship is just like, they have sidearms. They're just firing on this thing. And apparently successful enough that the monster relinquished its iron grip, after which it disappeared in the Black Sea, its ultimate fate unknown. Well, what happens is the ship was too damaged to continue, and then of course when the British vessel had come along and fired on it, it sunk the ship. And that's the basic story. But wait, there's more.
Oh yay!
There are other stories of U-boats being attacked by sea monsters. Now, it's very dodgy. This story was popularized in 2005 on the internet. And there's a lot of question about where the story actually comes from. It's not really documented in Navy logs, and I actually think for probably good reason. There's would be a lot of reasons to not talk about this. Or maybe, these seafaring soldiers wanted a good yarn, so, they were around the fire in the 1920s and just came up with this one. So it could be fabricated. There is not a lot of hard evidence to back this up, but like I said, it's not the only supposed meeting of a sea monster and a submarine to come out of World War I. There was another one from 1915. But the thing that I find interesting, just to wrap this up, is in 2016, the possible wreckage of UB-85 was discovered.
Oh!
And
do we have pictures?
There's like sort of a quote-unquote multi-beam view of the wreck underwater. It's like a seabed image of it. This was found off the coast of Scotland. And, there's a lot of people that says this was just something that was either an old seaman yarn or that it was just the product of the internet from 2005. But there's other people that say, like, this kind of meshes. Even if you, especially maybe if you believe in sort of the stories of Loch Ness Monster.
Who doesn't?
Even though she's not in the ocean, she's in a loch. Otherwise, she'd be the Ocean Ness Monster, I guess. But that these stories are out there, and haven't been able to find out if they ever decided what the deal was with UB-85, if, there's giant claw marks or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
But, it is interesting that they did find some of the wreckage of this ship. So we at least know that part's true.
Yeah.
The UB-85 is a popular story, popular paranormal story, and it went underwater, and it was popular enough that it's one of those stories that has been repeated, even by credible journalists and newspapers and things like that. So whether or not it's true, I don't know. What do you think? Do you believe in sea monsters?
I do believe in sea monsters. I believe in Loch Ness. Do you
believe in Loch Ness now, or you believe that... Because there's a lot of people that say Nessie is probably dead now.
I didn't know.
Well, I don't know that it's fact. It's just, it's a, I think your exclamation has woken.
I know. I think
young Indiana, the
I
dog.
wake the dogs.
She's like, what? What? Nessie's dead?
Yeah.
Nessie's stuck in the lock, girl? Oh
I did not know that they thought she was dead. That's really sad. No, I just think that there's a whole lot out there in the world. Who are we to say if it's true or not?
I think one thing is for certain, the stories of like giant squids,
yes,
which have been proven true. Like, we did find out that, giant squids do exist. So
It makes me think of your friend's cool art.
Oh, yeah.
We can post a picture. Aaron's friend does this really incredible, like, leather work art of sea monsters.
Liam Damon is, he does a lot of things. This is called, that one's called the Lovecraftian creature.
Like H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah.
Ah.
But, yeah, we'll post a picture of that. But, yeah, I mean, it's, the ocean is deep and vast. Things could hide out there. That would not surprise me. I find it actually not even all that paranormal. Maybe unexplained, but not quite paranormal. So, have you ever seen anything in the water that was somewhat mysterious or anything odd?
No.
I grew up in Florida, so there was always, like, weird stuff in the waters. Things that were probably explainable, but still just
weird.
Odd.
Yeah.
Do you have a story?
I do have a story, and my story is of something that ends up in the water, maybe?
Something that ends up in the water, maybe.
Maybe. So, I'm excited to tell my story because it actually is one of the very first ever episodes of Dateline that I remember watching.
Okay. Not about, like, a kraken or a kraken-type creature or anything like that.
No. This is the disappearance of George Allen Smith IV.
Okay.
So this originally aired on Dateline NBC in September 2005. And as I said earlier, we moved to America in like 2003. So by this time, like, I was starting to get into like Dateline and the wonders of American television.
As all young girls
do. We love to watch Keith Morrison's leathery, delicious face lean against some sort of weird fence in the middle of nowhere. This story was not told by my...
You were the popular girl, weren't you?
I could not have been less popular. This story was not told by my beloved Keith Morrison. This was told by Dennis Murphy, another equally great host of Dateline. I got most of my sources from this episode, but I also got from a really great Vanity Fair article by Brian Burrow, and then a local Connecticut newspaper called News Times, and an article by David Hennessy. So, Jennifer Hagel and George Allen Smith IV, such a regal name, they were married in June 2005 at 26 years old. And for their honeymoon, took a cruise on Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas, which maybe you were on, having it be one of those giant ships. It was a 12-day Mediterranean cruise. So the couple boarded in Barcelona on June 29th. It was 4 days after their wedding. And they picked a cabin with a balcony, so beautiful. And friends say it truly was like a perfect match for each other. Like, in my words, they were both kind of bros. Like, they loved to party. They were big drinkers. They both were super athletic. So it just was like a very happy marriage to start off their trip. Mm-hmm. So if you've been on a cruise before, as you have, you know that you kind of befriend people in your age group on cruise ships. And the Smiths were no different. They befriended 3 boys who were Russian Americans, and they were called the Russians. They were vacationing with their families. And they also befriended this boy from California named Josh. All of these guys were like in their early 20s. So they're young, but I mean, this couple's young. They're 26. So for the night in question, July 5th, the couple is boozing it up around the ship. Casino, disco, like just having a party rock lifestyle, which is so foreign to me. And this night though, there's like 2 tellings of the story. Mm-hmm. The first being Josh and his interview with police. So he told police that the bar closed at 3:30, and him and the Russians all had to help carry George down to their room because he was so hammered he couldn't get there himself. Right. Josh claims that they entered the room at 4 a.m., left George, went back to the Russians, ordered room service in their room, and the food arrives at 4:30. And that's that. However, The man that lived in the room neighboring the Smiths woke up at 4 a.m. and had 15 minutes of loud voices and arguing in the room wake him up out of a deep sleep. And let me tell you, as someone who has called the cops on their neighbors for being loud at inappropriate hours of the night, I totally side with this guy. The guy hears voices in the hallway after that, so around like 4:15, and he opens the door to see 3 young men walking in the hallway. But he's like, whatever, I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to put up a fight. Goes to bed and still hears people moving around the Smith's room. So as Josh said, he and the Russians helped bring George in the room. So the guy in the neighboring room sees 3 guys down the hallway. That means George and 1 other guy are still in that room. So he hears them kind of moving around. At 4:20, he hears the metal chairs on the balcony moving. Mm-hmm. And then what he says sounded like a horrible thud. All right, now it's the morning of July 6th. A vacationer 2 decks below the Smith's room steps out at 7 a.m. to take in this beautiful Mediterranean view and sees a giant blood stain on the overhang that's protecting the lifeboats.
Okay.
Which, like, ugh. Like, imagine seeing that. Immediately, she calls security. They come. They start searching everywhere. They find Jennifer at the spa, who's in the same outfit as the night before. But George isn't found anywhere on the ship. And later that day, they make the announcement that he has fallen overboard. I need to come to Jennifer's defense in this moment. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are going to hear that she was at the spa and be real judgy about it. But she says she woke up at 8 a.m. in the room and George wasn't there. But they're partiers. So for her, like, that's not a big deal for him to have been partying elsewhere in the ship and, like, fallen asleep on the couch.
Yeah, maybe be annoyed that, like, I can't believe he hasn't come home.
Yes.
Like,
but she's, like, not going to call security. They had a standing appointment for a couple's massage that morning. So she's like, whatever, I'll just meet him at the spa. He'll probably be there. So, like, let's not get real judgy about Jennifer right now. So security is in. The FBI and Turkish police are now involved because George is missing. They watch all the security footage and they find out that Jennifer left the disco alone to go to her room before all the guys left. Mm-hmm. But she was so drunk she got lost. And at 5 a.m. she was found by a janitor in a hallway and was put in a wheel. She was asleep.
She was asleep.
She was asleep in a hallway, was found by a janitor, and, like, he got a wheelchair, wheels her to their room, and, like, puts her to bed. And he says no one was in the room and the bed was made. Like, no one's, the towel animal was probably still in the bed. Like, no one had been in there. So, what happened? Where's George? He wasn't in the room. Now he's gone. Jennifer was, like, investigated for his disappearance, but was not ever named a suspect. George's parents also don't believe that it was an accident. They truly believe that it was a murder.
I mean, there was this blood
splatter. So, in my opinion, I think Josh knows more than he's letting on. The kid's only 21. So, like, I feel for him. He was panicked when he was telling the story. However, the cruise line has no documented order of the boys' room service order, which is highly suspicious. And the Smith's family lawyer also found a video of the boys filming themselves talking about George's death. And in the video, one of the boys, like, flashes gang signs and is like, I told you I was gangsta. Like, what? If you didn't do it, that's really gross. But, like,
well,
it's just so icky.
But if you did do it, why would you be reporting
yeah. It's just, the whole thing is suspicious. So what I think happened is that maybe they were all just so drunk. I mean, it said in one of the articles that they were doing shots of absinthe at the bar. If he's so drunk, the Russian boys go back to their room. Josh and him are hanging out, and they're sitting on the balcony, probably smoking, and, like, a wind comes, or George is sitting on the balcony.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you at the wind. like,
Well, like George is sitting on a balcony and a wind comes and he falls over.
how powerful is this wind?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I believe it could be an
I was
accident.
with you until the wind. But, I mean, I do think...
I think he could have just fallen over by accident and Josh got scared.
I mean, I think that that's possible. And also, the thing with, like, cruise ships is, like... I mean... And I think this applies to a lot of things. Like, but people are on vacation and people act stupid on vacation. They think that just because they're on vacation, suddenly
Oh my God, the
safe
boys I have made out with
nothing-
on cruise ships.
Okay.
Regrets.
It's not really where I was going with that, but
Well, we're talking about being stupid on a cruise ship.
more like I think there's a false sense of security that when people are on vacation,
Yeah.
they think nothing can touch them. It's not just on cruise ship; it's everywhere. Like, people set their wallet down and aren't paying attention because they think everything's safe and whatever. And on a cruise ship, it's like confined. It's like this self-contained city, floating city. So you think like, oh, okay. And reasonably so. Even if she woke up that morning and didn't see her husband, she may have been pissed, but like whatever, he's on the ship somewhere.
Yeah.
And yet, the thing you forget is like, oh, it's so easy to essentially
just
fall over, especially if you're drunk and stupid.
Exactly, which is kind of what I think is what happened. Like, they're being dumb. He falls over. Josh got scared. Didn't want to say because he didn't want to get caught up in something.
But, there's also the element... Now, I'm not a lawyer, but... hello, doggy. The dog is back in the picture. Not a lawyer, but also, I think that cruise ships... it seems like, when they're out there, they are supposed to follow certain rules, certain laws, but, like, it's essentially their, what am I trying to say? I think there was probably some opportunity for some companies to play fast and loose with laws, probably, while they're out on the oceans.
Could be. From the research that I've done, it sounded like Royal Caribbean handled it really well.
I'm not saying Royal
No,
Caribbean
I know
didn't.
you're.
I'm
I know
not
you're
saying
not.
anyone didn't,
No, I
but-
know you're not. I mean, that's the thing. It's like sea laws, like whatever. It's freedom.
Yeah.
But Royal Caribbean.
I've watched Pirates of the Caribbean. I know that it's like a whole,
It sounds like Royal Caribbean handled it super well. They immediately got the FBI involved, local police. They handed over every single security footage. I mean, that's how they found out Jennifer was like wandering the halls. Like, they weren't hiding anything.
Yeah.
So they left the bloodstain there for a
lot
while.
of disappearances from cruise ships and then just off of boats whatsoever. I mean, like the whole Natalie Wood story is like a whole other one that we can get into at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. So you think you're thinking just sort of
I think it was a sad accident.
Too much booze.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Don't drink too much booze, guys.
well, especially not on a cruise ship and where you're gonna fall off and plunge to your watery grave. I want to end with a quick one.
Oh, great.
And it's just from the Queen Mary, which is
Great.
no longer a seafaring vessel. It is now a hotel and a event space, and it is docked in California. And not so long ago, I was there for a paranormal event, a speaking gig.
It was like when we first met.
It is shortly after we first met, and I went out there. I had big plans to be out there early and spend all day, a free day on the ship. Instead, I got delayed for like 6 hours or more.
Whoops.
Got into my room like very late at night, which was essentially, I think, like 5 a.m. New York time. All I wanted to do was crash, fall asleep, even though it was a lovely room. I lay in my bed and close my eyes, and after a couple minutes, I feel the king-size bed. I feel the sheet next to me lift, and a weight kind of slip into the bed next to me, and it felt like it's not the first time something
got in bed with
this. Not the first time something got in bed with me. But I've felt things like a pressure on beds before.
Wow.
But the feeling of it is very distinct. You just know it. You just sense it. It feels like something laying next to you. And I was just so annoyed by it because all I wanted to do was pass out because I was so tired, even though I was happy to be on the Queen Mary. So tired. And I just remember saying out loud, like, not now, just bad timing, like, leave me alone. And then a moment later, just this sense of, like, it dissipated and the sheet calmed back down.
Wow.
And
so do you think it came to you because you were so tired, it opened you up to being more, like, aware or susceptible to that kind of energy?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, like, overall, I would say that I'm pretty open to things because part of my job involves so much talking about the paranormal. You're a professional ghost hunter. I'm not a ghost hunter. I don't say
but
ghost
I mean,
hunter.
like,
I'm a
paranormal.
I'm involved. I'm a journalist, you know, and a researcher and a writer. But you know, certainly I do pursue these things. So I think I'm already open to the possibility of a lot of it. And that tunes you in on some level, I believe. But it's also a place that is, you know, has a lot of potential activity. So, and as far as sleepiness, yeah, and there's a lot of theories that when you're sleepy, like, you do tend to be a little bit more, well, not just sleepy, but like when you're asleep.
They say what, 3 a.m. is the, like, witching hour?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories about it, but it's also, you know, when most of us are asleep,
yeah,
you know, we're at our calmest. Some people say it's like the opposite of the Trinity, or the opposite of the time that Jesus was crucified. So it's like a time when evil kind of moves about. I tend to think it's just a time where things are kind of more quiet in the world.
I get creeped out when I wake up at 3 a.m. and, like, have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't want to. It's creepy.
Well, maybe stop drinking water so close to going to bed so you don't have to wake up and pee at 3 a.m.
I know. I try to cut it off at, like, 9 at night.
Yeah?
But it's hard. I get thirsty.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your... I'm glad we're talking about your bladder. And I'm the older person in this... between this duo. And
you know, in the mall episode
allows me to sleep throughout the night.
In the mall episode, we talk about my bladder issues too. Maybe this is something I need to see a doctor about.
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking it might come to that. So yeah. So anyhow, that happened on the Queen Mary. It's a great boat. If you ever get a chance, definitely check it out.
I mean, I've been on the QE too.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah, very similar. I'm so enchanted by those, like, types of
old
ocean liners.
Vessels.
Yeah, yeah. And like the Queen Mary itself, like, was also in service in World War II as, like,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was.
Are there, like, ghosts of the Navy men?
Well, in theory, yeah. They were, I believe it was called the Gray Ghost at one point. Because it moved so fast, it was used to ferry troops back and forth. And there was a point when I don't know if the Queen Mary hit a mine or another ship that they were traveling with hit a mine in the water. And it caused damage to the Queen Mary, and but they had to continue going, which means they had to leave behind that other ship, and people were, because it was so important for them to carry the people that were on board. So it's supposedly haunted by that as well. I investigated that area of the ship as part of this event. So it's a gorgeous vessel. I highly recommend checking it out.
I will.
So, anyhow.
Cool.
Boats.
Boats.
We were on a boat in today's episode.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yes.
If you want to follow us, you can do so at NightMerica Podcast on Instagram. If you have a exciting story, footage, photo to share, you can send that to nightmericashow@gmail.com. Or if you want to help sponsor us, you can do that at Patreon at Nope. You can do that at patreon.com/NightMerica.
Yeah, and you can tell by my jingling ice that I'm running out of my...
I'm so sorry, everybody.
Bastard. I think that people...
They don't want to hear the ice.
With the fact that my cocktail has reached an end. And not only has my cocktail reached an end, this episode has. So, yes, email us with odd tales, urban legends, sightings, true crimes, tips, all that good stuff. And hey, why not some tiki recipes too, if you would like to pass those along.
Or give us feedback if you don't want to hear the ice on the episode.
Yes, you can also give us feedback on that if you don't want to hear the ice in the episode, if that is what is bothering you about this. So, thank you for joining us. We hope that you join us for another episode coming up at some point soon. And wherever you find this podcast, we hope we find you on another episode of NightMerica.